watching it virtually, so we don't want to keep them waiting too long at home. So thank you all for coming. I'm Diane Stinchcomb. I'm the Director of Sales. I've had the pleasure of working and serving the residents at Edenwald for 19 years as of this coming June. So it's been a great pleasure to work here. We have Debbie Janka. She's our Senior Residency Counselor. We have
I've been here 10
She's
years.
been here 10 years. I knew that you wouldn't say that, but I couldn't remember how long Allie and Aaron have been here. Putting the pressure on. Allie Watson-Fowler, she's our marketing coordinator, so she does a lot of the behind-the-scenes work for us. She sets up our events. She does a lot with our website and our Facebook page, works with people when they're coming in and signing their contracts. And then we have Erin Brooks, who is our moving coordinator. So Erin works very closely with our move managers, such as Lakia. And so she's going to give the introduction. And thank you again for coming. We hope you learned a lot today.
Hi there. As Diane said, I'm Erin Brooks. I am the moving coordinator here at Edenwald. Before I came here, I actually did what Lakia and Susan do. I was a move manager. So I came into this job with a wealth of experience on how to get people here. And I knew when I came in, a few move managers that they recommended before I got here, and I knew of Wayforth by reputation. And it was my goal to bring Lakia and Wayforth into Edenwald. But I got a tough cookie over here. And Diane is very, very picky about who we allow to work with our residents. And Lakia knows, she was here a few times. And finally, we brainstormed and we said, okay, let's give them a test and see how they do. And not only is Diane and Edenwald very picky about who we allow to work with our residents, we have a very picky resident. Now do I give
a future resident.
And we had a very picky resident who happened to live in Ocean City. And that area is underserved tremendously by companies like Wayforth and other move management companies. So there wasn't anybody that they could share the job with. They basically had to assign people to drive to Ocean City to meet with our resident, to help him with his space planning, to help him with his downsizing.
And significant
Downsizing, and to get him here. And that's a lot of anxiety, and they passed with flying colors. So if I probably shouldn't tell you who the resident is, but I guarantee you, if you're walking around here and you meet him, he'll tell you, make sure you call Lakia. So anyway, we are so pleased to have Lakia and Susan here to start the first of their 3-part series in space planning and move management. And with that, I give you Lakia Brown and Susan Berry.
Hi, everyone. The cord makes me nervous. Don't forget the cords here. That's what happens when you work in senior living for 19 years. You seem like hazard.
Well, trip hazard. Perfect. So I want to say good morning to everyone and thank you all for coming out to simplify your life. That's the topic of today's discussion today. And so I have Susan here along with me, and Susan, we're like a tag team. We're tag teaming today too. So she works with me at Wayforth, and she's going to help me with our presentation. So today we're going to be talking about how can we simplify your life? That's a great question, right? That seems like, who has a magic answer? Well, guess what? We do. So when I want to talk, we're going to kind of go to the next one. Enter. Hold on. I need you to help me with the text. That one. Yep, there we go. All right, so on today's agenda, we're going to be talking about how can we create the vision. What is your vision? I know that, you all have, you're making the decision to move into a community setting, and we're changing from your home environment, and you have a vision of how your home life is now, right? But you haven't quite got that vision as to what this next chapter is going to be like. So we got to create that vision. And we're creating the vision. We want to talk about space planning, right? Because now we got to figure out, we know how your space is planned in your current house. How can we create that current house feel into your new apartment home? And then we're going to carry on, which means that we're going to go on with our day and have fun, right? All right, so let's start our journey together. So as we create this vision, we want to talk about, what do you want? What do you guys want? What makes you happy? What will you want your life to look like when you move to Edenwald? We want to, be relaxed, enjoy life, dining. Who likes to cook? Anybody? All right, so that means I don't have a lot of hands up, right? So which means that when you come here, you want to be able to have somebody else cook for you, right? Because we're creating a vision. And who is mowing your lawn right now? Somebody else. And guess what? When you move here, someone else is going to mow your lawn for you too. Because we're creating that vision. And the best part is there's a fitness center here, right? So if you want to work out, you don't have to travel to LA Fitness or any of those other gyms, because it's right here. And there's cultural opportunities, there's programs that's right here. So in a way, you guys have already started simplifying your life, because you've already started to create your own vision as to what you want. So I applaud you guys, All right. So as we get into the next phase of creating simplifying our life, we want to talk about creating a floor plan, right? So as you come into the communities, you figure out what style of apartment you want. Whether it's a one bedroom for den, 2-bedroom, so on. That's the easy part. Now we figured out what size, what's the layout. With the layout comes the floor planning. So there's different types of floor plans that's out there. So right here just gives you a little quick synopsis as to what your floor plan can look like. You have different variations, how it all can be created. That seems all nice and dandy, right? Like, oh, this is great, love it. But how is that going to work for me? What is that floor plan? How is that going to correlate to my life? Well, it correlates to your life because we don't want that. That is not what we want. We don't want your new apartment to have items in there that doesn't fit. So because we don't want this, we have to figure out, what do we do so that we won't have this happen? And how we do that is we got to create the plan. So it begins with a plan of your space planning. So you have to figure out what pieces is going to best work into your new apartment. And when you're choosing your pieces, you have to think about two things. What makes you happy, and is it going to bring you joy? Because I'm going to tell you, everything in your house right now, you're going to say it makes you happy and bring you joy. But we have to simplify it. Because everything, it does bring you joy, it does make you happy, but which ones really make you happy and which one really brings you joy? And if you're still a little teeter-tottering as to what you want to bring, it's okay, it happens. We can maybe put some things in storage until you make the determination as to where you want it to go, okay? It's okay. So when we talk about what brings you joy, there's different types of items. Someone might have that favorite recliner. When you go home, no one sits in that recliner because they know that's where you sit. Or it could be, a rack that it was passed down from generations to generations and you love it because someone in your family has made it and you feel that you gotta have this travel along with you. It could be a seated chest, it could be various different items. But we gotta pinpoint what brings you joy. Now, after we figure out what brings you joy, you gotta figure out, will it fit? That's the next question. Because it can bring you so much joy, but it can be so cumbersome in your new apartment that it may not fit. So we gotta figure out this space, looking at your floor plan and the items that you're looking to bring with you, and do what we call a little bit of measuring. Okay. So when we measure, we gotta look at the width. How long is it? Because now you're putting it into a space that, may not be the same size as the current space that you're currently living in. Your living room that you're in now, you may have, enough room for 2 sofas, end tables, coffee tables, a little wet bar. But your new apartment may not can hold all of that. You may want it to hold all of that. You may desire all those things in there, but the only way that we can truly say if it can fit or not is if we take some measurements. So at Edenwald, they give you a floor plan. They give you an opportunity to, space out everything to create your ideal space. So what we're gonna do right now is, let's give it a try.
So when Lakia comes out to see you, we will already prepare a blank floor plan. Whoops. Like this. They will be scaled for all of our magnetic pieces.
Yeah, this is the fun part, right?
You can take the magnetic pieces off of here. You can put them on the floorboard. You can see how things fit. You can move things around. And literally every piece of furniture you can imagine, we have a piece that's that size or very close to that size.
Yes.
So then at the end of her appointment with you, she's going to bring back a board that looks something like this, where we've placed the bedroom furniture and we've placed the living room furniture, and you'll pick those things that mean the most to you. You might have a kitchen table and a dining table, but maybe the dining table is more important to you. Maybe it holds more family memories. Maybe you're going to use it when your family comes over for Thanksgiving dinner. So we're going to make sure that that fits in the space and leaves you in a safe environment. So then once she brings that back to us, we're going to put it into the computer. And ready?
Yeah.
And we're going to generate a floor plan that looks like this. So it's sort of a 3D version. And you can see how much space is around things. Make sure there's enough walking space, especially if you need to use a walker or your significant other needs to use a wheelchair. We want to make sure that there's enough room for them.
Exactly. So if you notice, the magnetic board is getting passed around now. Everything that's on the magnetic board is translated. So of course, we can't have you take the magnetic board with you, but you can take the digital copy because that's where we recreate this. And this gives you a feeling as to what's going to fit. Everything that brings you joy, you've identified. But the best part is, after identifying it, we're making sure that that joyful item is going to be able to be accommodated in your new home. You don't want to have the feeling of overwhelming and feeling frustrated that you made a change in your life, and as a result of the change, everything that you wanted or that you thought was going to fit doesn't fit, because then it gives a little anxiety about, even starting to make a change. So So we want this change, this new chapter, to feel great from the beginning all the way through. So in order to do that, we have to make sure that from the very beginning, we're simplifying our life. We're understanding what pieces are going to fit. We're understanding how important it is for us to do floor planning. And we're understanding that there are going to be some things that we may have to say goodbye to. But it's okay, because someone else may be able to use it. Maybe it's a relative, maybe it's a friend, or maybe it's someone that you may not know because you donated it to a donation center. But whatever case it may be, you're bringing joy to someone else, and you're also going to bring joy to yourself, because your new space will be able to accommodate everything that you want, right? Now, is there any questions about how can we make this happen? Do you feel like this is something that, you guys could do? Do you guys feel invigorated that you're going to simplify?
Erin has a question.
Erin.
Question. Lakia,
Uh-huh.
what do you say to people who, once they've chosen everything that they want to bring with them, have a house full of things that they can't bring with them?
Yes. It's the dreadful conversation. So one of the things that happens is, when we go through that listing of all of your furniture and what brings you joy, we walk around, we list out everything, and I'm measuring the width, the depth, and height. And then we come back to our lovely magnetic board, and we sit there together, and we're trying to piece it in. And you see that dresser that you wanted doesn't fit, or that second couch that you thought was going to fit in there doesn't fit. We make decisions. And it's not a decision that I'm making. It's a decision that we're making. You're making. I can't tell you what to swap one for the next, but I can show you why we may need to swap one for another. And I can give you alternatives. So if you don't, if we can't bring in a sofa, or we can't bring in that bureau or armoire, we can discuss our options, which could be, do you want to completely part with it and maybe see if there's a relative that may want it? Is there maybe we can auction it off. We work with several auctioneers, and we can see if maybe we can get some return on it. So we look at the brighter side. We talk about how we can make this better. Because again, the goal is not to feel overwhelmed, because we all have selected to make this change. We want to simplify. We don't want to cook anymore. We don't want to have to worry about the lawn. We want someone else to do that. We want someone else to kind of take on these not so pleasurable things.
Lakia, so you will be here on June the 13th, correct?
I
For a downsizing, right?
Yes.
Is that the next chapter?
So, and that definitely, so with our downsizing, we'll talk more intensely about this, about what we need to do, how can we really get into simplifying our life. Because right now, we're looking at the plan. The plan is looking at what items we want, right? Looking at what items that can fit. But those items that can't fit, we'll go into more details about how can we make it fit? What could we do for those items that's not going to fit? What suggestions? How do we get to that point of, I'm going to let it go. That's a hard one, right? It's hard, especially when you've had things with you for a while. You have memories. You really want it. But sometimes we just have to back away. We'll talk more about that.
Yes, I have another question. So a lot of our prospective residents, when they come in, they work with a designer. So can you talk a little bit about how you would work in conjunction with someone's designer?
Yes. Yep. So we work hand in hand with any resources that you may have. If you have a designer that's helping you make modifications to the current apartment, where you may be adding in certain paint choices, you may be adding in cabinetry, whatever the case may be, I can work with that individual just to make sure that when we do your floor planning, I'm not putting in a couch where your designer has laid out for you to have some, shelving units put in. Because again, once you're moved into your apartment, your new apartment home, you want it to feel comfortable. You don't want to have to go in and be moved in and then you have somebody else have to make modifications or take things out because you thought it was going to fit and it doesn't fit. We want it to be a great fit from the very beginning. We want you to be able to get immersed into the community life here. There's so many different amenities that you have to do here. And why wait? Your first day in here should be the first day of the next chapter. You're going to have so many new friends, so many new activities, so much to do that you don't want to have to worry about rearranging your apartment because you bought too much. So we want to kind of get everything together from the very beginning so that from the very beginning, you're having fun.
And if on move day, we're looking at the floor plan and maybe we have your China hutch on this wall. But in reality, when you go into the apartment, unfortunately, sometimes there's a light switch right where we're putting a piece of furniture. So it is a little bit mobile in that we can have our movers move things to the other side of the room so that you can see what it looks like. And maybe you like it better on the other side of the room. Or instead of having the sofa up against the wall, maybe you want it under the window. So it's all flexible like that.
I think you had a question?
Well, I was gonna ask about moving. Do you move our furniture from our home to our apartment?
Yep. So we can, and that's definitely a such situation that we can kind of talk about offline. But I wanted to make sure that the group collectively, understands how important this space is. And I'll be definitely more than happy to, kind of discuss that next, what it would look like. How can we help individually, make this a reality for you as you choose to move into Edenwald?
But you have your own movers, correct?
We do. We have our own staff.
Yeah, we're a complete move management, one-stop shop. So if there are items that you want to auction, Lakia will take pictures of those items when she's out visiting with you. I'll send them out to our auction resources so that you don't have to do any of that legwork. And I'll find out whether they want the items or if they don't want the items. And they're pretty upfront with us. They'll say, you know what, this is something we definitely can sell. Or they might say, unfortunately, there's a lot of that in the market and you might not get what you want for it. I contact the donation services, our movers. Not only will move all those items from your house to your new apartment, we can go in afterwards and we can clear out your house of all the things that you decided that you didn't want to bring with you.
And do you pack for us?
We do the packing, we do the unpacking, we can hang pictures for you, hang shower curtains, whatever you need us to do, we'll do for you.
Yeah. The plan is, we can do as much or as little of the move process as you want, but it's all, individualized. And again, the first step of having an individualized segment is the floor planning and how can we simplify it. So with the 3-part series that we're going to be doing here at Edenwald, we're kind of doing like a preparation and how we can kind of get you guys geared up to make this journey easy, stress-free, and to give you no worries, to give you an opportunity to enjoy this phase of life, enjoy this next chapter without having to worry about, oh my God, how am I going to do this? I want to do it. How can I do it? We're turning that how can into a reality by helping you guys figure out a game plan. Yes.
In your next session, will you address all of the smaller items? In other words, what happens to paper files, books, accessories?
Exactly. So in the downsizing session, you're right. There's so many different things. I mean, there's, you have files, of paper that of course you can't, want to bring all of it here. What do you do with it? where I'm gonna kind of give you some alternatives.
So that's the second session?
That's the second session.
And when is that?
So it's June the 13th. Yes, thank you.
June 13th?
June 13th.
Tuesday, same time.
And like, can you let everybody know, we'll send out an email.
Yep. So if everyone here is, you all gonna get an invitation to let you know, reminder as to when it is, the session title, and of course the location is most likely going to be right here in this room again. So I would love to see everyone out, and definitely invite your friends. This is an informational session that, is good for everyone, because we all know someone or are that someone that may need some services and kind of help with planning things out, especially when you're making a move. We want to make sure that you feel comfortable with your move, and then we're able to give you all the information that you need and to make that move as stress-free as possible. Okay.
The session, same time?
Same time. Yep. Yes.
Where are these auction houses that you're mentioning? We work with Alex Cooper up here in Towson. We work with Westworks, which is down in Rockville. And then we have another one for our clients that live a little bit farther south in Falls Church, Virginia. We work with Quinn's Auction House. And if there's a particular place that you've worked with before that maybe we haven't worked with, I'll be more than happy to reach out to them on your behalf.
Yes.
So not furniture, but do you work with like artwork and wall space and measure kind of that and help with that process as well?
Yes. So at the end, I never want to tell folks to think about what art you want to put on your wall on the first day, because the lighting is different. You want to kind of get used to your environment, your new environment, before we start trying to place something on the wall. That's a permanent, piece. We don't want holes in the wall, and then you're like, oh, I don't want this here, I want it here. So we can come back and assist with, what we call the last stage, which is like, putting the pictures on the wall 2 days after, because we want you to kind of get familiar with your face, see how the light is hitting into your new apartment space before you make that decision. Or we can help you kind of like decide with it, and the maintenance team here at Eden Wall can help, actually put it up at the end.
I'd like to talk to this specifically because Wayforth did work with another resident who had a challenging situation in that she had, correct me if I'm wrong, like a 7-foot by 7-foot square piece of artwork. And so that is an issue where you kind of have to plan your space planning around a piece of art. And they came up with a perfect solution. So
I just wonder whether it comes over at all and would it actually fit, kind of having to downsize that as well.
Oh, the pieces of art? Well, again, we look at, the number of pieces of art that you're thinking about in comparison to the area that you're moving in. And then we have to make that decision again. It's a hard one, because again, yes, we would definitely help with that, because again, you gotta look at all the wall space that you currently have in your current home. Think about if you have a home, it's a 3-story home, you got a basement, you got, the main level, and then you have the bedroom area, all those walls. And then in your bedrooms, let's say if you had 3-4 bedrooms, well, you're moving into an apartment, which is 1 level. So you don't have the 3 levels anymore. And let's say you have 2 bedrooms. So you don't have those 3-4 bedrooms anymore. So all that wall space that you had in your current home, you don't have. And you don't want it to be overcrowded with pictures. Even though we love the pictures, we love them. They're great. They look wonderful. But remember, as we're looking at what pieces of furniture is not going to make it, we also got to keep in mind that all of the artwork may not make it.
And correct me if I'm wrong, in Room Sketcher, we can look at a wall and we could put something on there that's the same, represents the same size. So you could see that, your 6-foot picture but you were only bringing a love seat, but it might not physically look appealing.
Right.
Can I ask you to discuss a little bit about what happens, like artwork in particular or other thing, when people don't stick to the plan?
Oh, honey, let me tell you that one. That is a good one because you'll be, should be surprised, but there are times where we worked on this lovely floor plan and we're like, oh yes, this is all gonna fit and this is wonderful. But then the day of the move, when my movers are there, we have the, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want that to go.
It's just a little end table. I'm sure we can tuck it away somewhere. Sometimes we can. Sometimes we can.
And once it get over to the new apartment, all those, I want that, I want that, looks cluttered. So this beautiful floor plan that we created and kind of made this wonderful layout of your new apartment home becomes not so wonderful, right? Because now you have extra end tables that you don't have wall space for, or an extra chair that is just sitting there. So now you have anxiety. That anxiety builds up that we had just worked out. Because now it's like, what am I gonna do with this? It's not how I wanted to be. So as much as I know that this process may be difficult, the one thing I can say is trust the process. Trust that we're not going to steer you wrong. We're not telling you that you can't have it or it's not going to fit just because we're just saying it. We're saying it because we want you to be happy with your new apartment home. We want you to feel like this is home. These are items that you're taking from your previous residence to your new residence. So we want you to feel that same home-like feeling that you walk into every day in your current home. That same feeling we want you to feel when you go over to your new home. But it kind of deters a little bit when we bring in extra items. You know?
And it costs you more doing that because a local move is based on time, not the amount of items, not the weight. So the more items you bring, the movers have to wrap them, carry them onto the truck, transport them here, carry them off the truck, take them up to the apartment, only to find out that you didn't like it.
Right.
And then
I was gonna say, the only person who benefits from that situation is our nifty thrifty shop.
Yeah, well, that's great.
You know, we see that all the time, and people are lucky to have that vehicle, but like, you paid all this money to move this stuff, and now you have to pay the mover to take it down the basement. It's a great cause, it goes back to the residents, but we see it often where 20 boxes extra of kitchen items than you can accommodate, and again, the only winner in that is nifty thrifty.
Exactly. And it's so funny that the kitchen is always the trouble spot.
Right.
Because I guarantee, remember how we said in the beginning that one of the things that I only had 2 people who held their hands up saying they want to cook. So everybody else said they don't want to really cook, right? But what we find sometimes are, we know that our cabinetries in our new apartment homes is different from the cabinetries that we have currently. But we want to bring everything because we feel like we need to now, we're going to throw parties. So we have 8 sets of this china, another 8 of this, and I need this serving ware, and I need this, and I need that, I need this blender, I need this mixer. But you're not using it. Because remember, we're simplifying our life, right? And we have all of those areas taken over for us. So we don't need to bring it. And of course, we love that we have the opportunity that, to use the nifty thrifty shop. But if you don't have to use a nifty thrifty shop, we want to make sure that we want to simplify it beforehand. But we have an option, which is always good. But we want to make sure that we simplify it first. Yes.
I've been in several apartments here, and when somebody buys the apartment, they can add a cabinet, they can take off this, they do whatever. So are you involved in that process?
process also after you see what our furniture looks like, or? how does that work?
So how it works is I am in touch with Erin. Erin is the moving coordinator here, so she keeps me abreast of any kind of modifications that's happening. So if you decide, hey, I want to make this into cabinetry, I want to do a little special something here, then I'll know so that when I come out to do your session with you, we can kind of keep that in mind that that wall is not a blank wall. There's something actually there.
Okay, so you don't work first and then help us figure out the modifications if we want.
What we can do however you would like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. If we're at a session and you're like, let's say at your current home, you have built-ins currently, and you love the way that built-in look, is, and you want to kind of keep that same motif, we can look at the floor plan and see how can we make this work for you. Okay.
And we can recreate things for you. If you have a gallery wall of pictures, if you have things in a china cabinet that you want it to look exactly the same in your new apartment, what we'll do is we'll take a picture of it before we pack it up. And then use that picture when we're unpacking things back into there for you.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Can you give us an estimate of the cost?
Oh, you're trying to put me on the spot. Okay. So as far as the cost, it's all individualized. It's all predicated as to what you want. So everyone's needs is going to be a little bit different, and everyone's floor plan is going to be different, which means that the amount of contents that you would need to put into your space is going to be different. So with our services, we do provide, as Susan had said, the ability to pack, unpack, and of course the moving services. So it's how much of the packing, how.
You charge by time or flat rate?
By time.
Yeah, so by time. Mm-hmm.
And when Lakita's out for what we call our initial visit, that's the first time she comes and visits you. It's really a fact-finding appointment. She'll be able to give you an estimate based on what she sees that day.
Right. Yeah. And it's a complimentary visit.
Right, can I say?
Yes.
Yeah, any Wayforth or any of the other move managers should be giving you a free consultation prior to you working with them. And if you were to ever contact a move manager who doesn't offer that, we would recommend that you not work for them.
Right.
And we would also say that, when people ask about like the cost, I've been doing this here 19 years, but 25 years, it is well worth the money to do it. People who work with a move manager, when they come in here, if they're so less stressed out, they make such an easier transition. Like we always, Debbie and I always want to work with people, say, it's worth the money.
Yeah.
Because the day they walk out the door on move day, you are set up.
They're done,
Yes.
they're set up, they're comfortable, they can kind of,
You're
start
not
their
months later still living in
still
boxes.
living with boxes,
Right.
yeah. We're bringing more and more things over from their house.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that the best moves are moves where they work with a good move manager, and the opposite of that is some of my most disastrous moves in my career doing that is with people who say, I'm gonna pack myself.
Yes.
The kids are gonna do it.
The grandkids are gonna bring it over, and my family will take everything I don't use. As Lakia said, and I've repeated a million times, trust the process. This is a profession, this is an industry, this is a profession, and there is a way to take a house that you've been in for 20, 30 years, full of stuff, and move it to a 1,500, 800, 600 square foot apartment. And that's why, like Diane said, we highly recommend that you work with a move manager. I've heard it once, I've heard it a million times. It's the best money I ever spent. So that's.
I've already told my husband when we move, I am not packing. We all have the best intentions, we really do. We think, you know what, my office isn't that full. And then you get, and then you get bogged down in the minutia of it. You're looking through every single piece of paper, you're looking through this, you're looking through that. And it becomes so overwhelming that you just don't wanna face it. Let us come in as a third party and we'll help you make those decisions. You can get mad at us
Right.
and not your family members who are saying, Dad, you got too much. You know, we'll take the, we have thick skin, we can handle it.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Oh, she had one more question, I'm sorry.
So, how do you do it? Do you take drawers out of dressers and desks and just move it with the stuff in the drawers?
So it all depends. So if it's like, clothing, we can kind of keep the clothing in the drawers because it's lightweight and it's nothing that's gonna move around. But let's say if it's items that are gonna move around, let's say like a desk drawer, we would have to take the contents out of that because we don't want during the moving process for stuff to move, get broken. So safety is our one priority.
Right, because they tip the pieces of furniture up to carry them out. So we don't want anything breakable in any of the drawers.
Right.
But the drawers don't have to be empty.
They do not. Unless you're worried about, like, if you have a really fragile antique dresser that you're using, we would recommend taking those drawers out, but we would take them out as a whole drawer and then wrap them, carry them downstairs separately, and then move the dresser part.
Right.
And then do the reverse once we get to your apartment.
And I'm just gonna talk about that in a
Yeah.
minute.
Yes. So there are more good things to come, from next month, and then we have another one in July. What's the third session? I hate to put you on the spot, Ally.
We don't have the date yet.
No, but do we have a topic?
Oh, it's,
Sorry.
Sell, donate. It's all about.
it's a cute little moniker.
Right, I think about what to do with, after you downsize, what to do with the rest.
Right, yeah.
Basically, the three-part series is going to define the process which we're telling you to trust. We're gonna wrap up the session here. I know that Lakia and Susan are free to take individual questions. I don't know if you have anything else planned but we encourage you to ask Lakia some questions. We've got lots of food left over, so come have a little nosh and something to drink, and we're around if you have any more questions, okay?
Thank you, guys. We can hand out some, little. All right.